Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show. We're happy that you joined us today. Tell your garden buddies, friends, neighbors, people you don't even like, that Garden Radio is back on the airways here in Milwaukee. The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, your destination for all things gardening. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, 840-plus garden-related videos. All are on there and a whole lot more. And bring in our next guest.
So we have Venice Williams. She's the executive director at Alice's Garden. That's at 2136 North 21st Street. It's a 2-acre urban community garden in Milwaukee, nurturing families and organizations to reclaim, nourish cultural and family traditions, connect to land and food. And they have 87,000 square feet, the 2 acres, and you can find more information about them at alicesgardenmke.com.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio program, Venice Williams.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Well, it's a pleasure. You've taken time out of, I follow you on social media. You're extremely busy in the community, and we thank you for taking time to join us and our listeners to shed a little more light on Allison's Garden and what goes on there.
Yes, it is an abundant community, and I have an abundant life, but I am always happy to talk gardening with anyone.
Well, how did the garden start, and why was it created? Can you give us a little background on the garden there?
So I'm always clear to point out that I did not found or create Alice's Garden. I hear that and see that in print quite often, and it makes me cringe because it doesn't give honor and due to the people who did create the garden in 1972 as part of a solution to land that was cleared for the highway that was never built. So it was started by Milwaukee Cooperative Extension. Started off as 3 acres was given to the city of Milwaukee for Brown Street Academy, the school that sits next to us, to expand their playground. And in return, the city of Milwaukee put in the irrigation system that we presently have.
And how can anybody rent a plot there, and how large are the plots, and how does that all work for I know in 2016 you completely had no extra available lots. What does it look like for 2017?
Oh, we're already full for 2017 with a waiting list of about 15 families and organizations who also would like to come into the garden. So we're hoping to really expand to some of the surrounding land and to some other vacant land here in the city of Milwaukee. But if you are interested in renting a plot for next season, you really want to get on the list right now.
Okay, so it's kind of like the allotments over in Europe, where years ago there was 20 or 30-year waiting list to get to get a spot, and that is really a positive sign to have a community garden where people are wanting to get in and garden and wanting to put on a waiting list. It's not like you have to go on media and radio and TV and beg people to come out and participate in the gardening craft or hobby, or interact just with the community around you.
No, I think there is the myth of the new urban gardener, but I myself come from a family who has been gardening both as rural farmers and as gardeners in urban areas for all of our lives. So even as African Americans migrated to Milwaukee back in the 50s and 60s, one of the first things many families did was find a piece of land to grow food on if they did not have that land attached to their own dwelling. So in our community, we have always been about growing our own food and nourishing ourselves. So I always say that it's great that everyone else is coming back to the land also.
And you share a lot of your photographs and information on your Facebook page there for the garden, and it's not just what some people may think of an older generation. You have everyone from infants to teenagers to millennials. You have a broad range and ethnicities and backgrounds that all participate in the garden.
Indeed. We say that we use gardening as the carrot, pun intended, to get people to come through the gate to impact their entire quality of life. So the garden is a platform for health and wellness for anyone who enters. So there are 120 rental plots, but there are more than 24 programs, events, and opportunities for the entire greater Milwaukee area and city of Milwaukee to participate. So whether we're talking about our movies in the gardens that will happen monthly during this season, or yoga that happens every Tuesday evening, our open makers market on Tuesday evenings, we have an herbal labyrinth that has programming and events. As a matter of fact, we have one tomorrow marking the spring equinox. So we like to use this outdoor learning environment to engage all of Milwaukee.
Now, do people have to be a rental plot owner or rental person on the gardens there to participate in these activities, or is it for the community at large?
It is open to anyone who would like to come in and enter into the community there and to help build community and to meet people who you may never encounter anywhere else. So last year we saw close to 6,000 different people who came for a variety of events. There are events that happen sponsored by other organizations, such as the Milwaukee County, their annual breastfeeding walk happens every August in the gardens. It starts there and then it continues over to the Fondy Food Center, the Fondy Market. So it really is about a learning and wellness environment that is created by many people. The other thing that I always want to make clear, people see me as the person who really cultivates this community, and I am one of dozens of people who make Alice's Garden come alive.
Fantastic. So you have a program called The Table. What is this? And is it just for those who have plots at Alice's Garden?
So it's actually, Alice's Garden is a program of The Table. So The Table is a spiritual community that is pretty new in its existence, but it is now the umbrella for almost everything that we do, from Alice's Garden to the Body and Soul Healing Arts Center, the community center that we operate. The Table gathers on Wednesday evenings. When it's cold, we are indoors. When it is warm enough, we move out to the garden. So it really is another place where we invite Milwaukee to come nurture their health through incredible food that is often a potluck, and the community gathers together like we did this past Wednesday. But it's also a place where we nourish our spirit and our energy. And so, again, anyone is welcome to join us across faith lines, no matter who you are. What's important to us is that Milwaukee connects, that all of the people of Milwaukee find places to connect, and we are just happy that Alice's Garden is one of those spaces.
Now, other than the fresh produce positive aspect of the community garden, what are and you've touched on this, what are some other good reasons to be part of the community garden? Not only the Allison's Garden, but there's community gardens all over the city as well as the country. We have people listen through social media and podcast replay. What are some good other positive returns on a community garden engagement?
I think anytime humanity understands its place in all of creation, the world is just a better place. And community gardens help you to reconnect with soil, to reconnect with creatures that we often think we need to swat, as opposed to embrace and celebrate the beauty and diversity within creation. But most importantly, community gardens provide a place for people to come out of their own homes and to fully see one another as you grow food or as you engage in activities and programs and projects that really enhance the entire community.
Fantastic. Now, if somebody wants to find a community garden near them, how would they go about doing so?
Well, the American Community Gardening Association has a website that lists many community gardens throughout the country. Here in Milwaukee, you could also connect with Groundworks Milwaukee, who manages and helps birth, I don't know how many, and I was just with them yesterday, so maybe 90-something community gardens. I hope I'm not exaggerating that particular figure. We are also hosting a one-day conference on April 8th, in a few Saturdays, that will help people to look at even how to birth a community garden. So many people want to meet one-on-one with me or with other people or come and see the garden. We have an opportunity in a few Saturdays for people to come together and to see what we do and how we do it, which we will help do multiple things. One, help people to birth more community gardens, help people to understand the possibilities of community gardening beyond just growing food, which is wonderful and important, but there's so much more you can do in a community garden platform. And then we also would like for people to think about the other smaller components that bring people together. For example, even if you don't have the land or the energy to do a garden, as Sherry Johnson, our spiritual caretaker, shares what happens within the labyrinth, maybe you want to create a garden that is labyrinth-based with a bit of food around it. So I encourage people to, in some ways, think out of the box when it comes to gardening, and to really explore what community gardens can do for a neighborhood, for just one city block, or for an entire city.
So you talked about the Makers Market, and you also, I know you guys you sell fresh produce. What else do you sell besides the fresh produce?
Ooh, if you were in my home this morning, it all smells like essential oils and essential herbs and teas. We have a product line from bath salts to hair and body oils to tea blends to lip balm, and there are probably people listening calling out other products that we sell. Herbs are my passion, therefore it's a huge passion of the garden. And so we have an herbal product line that really helps sustain the programs and the projects, and to purchase more soil or that we don't grow ourselves there at the garden. So when we are at farmers markets and people support the Alice's Garden product line, or at the Outpost Makers Market today at 16th and North, it really goes back to help nurture Alice's Garden.
Well, Venus, we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. For people who want to find out how to get a hold of you through and purchase your products or see what other products you have available, what's the best way in order for them to do that?
There's alicesgardenmke.com, which has a lot of the products, but not nearly all of them. But it also has links to the other events that will be going on at the garden. You could stop by the Outpost Makers Market every Saturday morning from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., or you can send me an email at venicewb@msn.com.
Well, thank you very much, Venus. We appreciate your time and the information about the community garden.
Thank you, Venus.
Thank you thank you all, and thank you for all the incredible work you do.
Well, thank you, and we'll be back. If you're in the Milwaukee or surrounding areas, just tune your radio to 860 AM or FM 106.5. You can also find links on our Facebook pages, The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener and Home Canning. Our website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, click on the radio tab at the top of the page, then click on the Listen Live button, and you'll have immediately access to our live program. Mobile devices work very well also. Go to your app store and download for free the TuneIn app or the Simple Radio app. Then search WNOV 860, save it to your favorites, and you can have access to our radio show live wherever you're at in the world. Our radio program will also have podcast replay under the radio tab several days following the live broadcast. You can find all of these links in the show notes below. Our show airs 9 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday, March through the end of October. And we want to thank our sponsors, because without them, this would not be anywhere possible. You can find all of their links under the radio tab on our website at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.